They could.
It's on, we're on.
I'd like to call this meeting to order and welcome this evening to the residents attending in person and to those joining us via our live stream to the March 10th meeting of the East Manchester Township Board of Supervisors. Please join in pledging to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I'd like to make an announcement that we did meet before this meeting, immediately before the meeting, to talk about litigation and legal advice to the board. So with that, is there a motion to amend the agenda?
If I may, there are two items. Number one is Shane pointed out that underneath his bids, 10.1.5 mowing, it is not McCabe's Lawn Care and Landscape, it's Calvary Enterprise LLC. The amount is correct. I used the name from last year in a copy and paste. So I would recommend changing that. And then the second change would be, we can add this under my report where recreation is, just put it as 11.3.1, Springettsbury Bus Trip Program, or Springettsbury Township Bus Trip Program. And that's all I have.
What was the name of the mowing?
Calvary, Calvary Enterprise, yep, LLC. Thank you. Yep. I tried putting those on there for you, so it makes it easier when we go to riddle them off, yeah. Yep.
And also, I'd like to move item 4, public comments, move that down to 13.1, right after bill approval and pay bills. That gives the public time to come in and digest what we're discussing tonight. So I'll make a motion that we approve the amended agenda. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there a discussion on that? Darrell Albright. Call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, moving into February 10th, 2026 minutes. Anyone have any questions, concerns, corrections to the minutes?
Had a correction, was that revision made?
Yes.
And can you
All it was on a public comment section, it was,
Just revising the wording to say that there were several questions asked, just clean up the wording.
Yep.
so semantic changes?
Yep.
Okay.
it was just semantics, yep.
Is there a motion to?
I have one other question.
Oh, okay.
Just on the top of page 5, it says the red board should be corrected for us. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, yep.
Any others? I'll make a motion that we approve the amended minutes for the February 10th meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
February 19th, the quarterly financial review. Dean Darrell was not present for the meeting.
No edits to those minutes, so I'll make a motion to approve the February 19th quarterly financial review minutes as presented.
I'll second that motion. Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
takes us to special requests, Christie.
We do not have any special requests.
It moves on to the fire chief's report. Chief? Long walk, isn't it?
Just so you know, I do have this mic too. You just have to bloop.
It should be.
I didn't turn it on. You might just have to press the button.
Yep.
Good evening. I don't have anything to add to the report that we had a couple minutes to cruise over that. I will apologize, I did warn you for the past several months that we would be in transition in our software from one reporting system to the new reporting system. We are ahead in that process. So the data is into the program, but now we're in the process of building how the reports come out. So the report you see is vastly different from what we used to. And I would hope by this time next month, you'll see what will be the new report going forward. Most of the same information is there. But I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for the chief?
None for me.
Nope. The report was very good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along. And I'd like to announce that there was no report received by Eagle Fire Company, Mount Wolf. Okay, that takes us down to 6.2, the volunteer services tax refunds. Christie, I'll let you take over from there.
Sure. We did get 18 total applications in for this program, the Volunteer Services Tax Refund Program. The total amount for local real estate would be $2,511.79. That was a total of 15 volunteers that qualified for that tax refund. And then 15 volunteers that qualified for the local earned income rebate. And they can apply for both. That's what happened here. A lot of them did apply for both and qualified for both. So I would need a motion to approve the refund amount. And just to so note, I check over these, then I send it to Kathy, who also checks over it. And then of course Jen, she goes over and makes sure that our numbers are adding up as well. So there's 3 checks to this before, we get to the end here.
Christie, is that the correct amount? Because we had one check that.
Yes, this is still the correct amount. It was just the check amount was wrong. Yep. So, but the $2,511.79 is the correct amount. That's a good observation.
I'll make a motion that we authorize payments for the volunteer service tax refunds in the amount of $2,511.79.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously.
Very good.
Your county are you done with that?
Yep.
Okay, your county regional police report, go right to the highlight. I asked about the theory of having the police meetings all in one spot this year instead of moving it around, because I was under the assumption that we would move it around to 3 or 4 places throughout the year. It was decided because of, they already voted on it in January. Staff, it's somewhat cumbersome for staff to set up at different locations all the time. So we're going to revisit that at the reorganization meeting next year with the probability of moving, going around. So I did bring it up.
Thank you.
Other than that, financial report was Justice Assistance Grants was received in the amount of $10,700. The school resource officers, I'm sorry, there's two in Northeastern, the contract was extended for 5 years. So our SROs will be on duty for 5 more years up at Northeastern. That's about the highlights. Is there any questions that I can answer? We had we voted on the officers. Kathy Kirshner from Windsor is now the president commissioner. I'm the vice president commissioner. Ann Gray is the secretary, and Mr. Kessler is commissioner. So we rotate that. So that's it for police, unless anyone has any questions. Northeastern York County Emergency Management Association, any report or anything, Christie?
I have no updates.
I have something for that. I think we should adopt a policy that township employees as well as like the EMA do not make any recommendations for services or companies or whatever. I think we should be neutral in those. I checked with the county. The county EMA makes no recommendations if they come out on site. I think the people should be told, for the EMA purpose, they should be told to contact their insurance company. We should not be involved with making any recommendations or suggestions for that.
And our staff, we don't make any recommendations either.
I'm sure we do,
Yep.
but I think we just need to have a policy.
Yep.
State that.
Yep.
And that will be discussed at the next EMA meeting.
Which is when, June?
June 1st.
EMA did contact me about the J&K salvage fire. I was surprised to hear that our EMA was putting booms in the creek down at the doors, on the Doors Creek, down in our municipality. The oil made it down that far, it even made it through to the river. And I am sorely disappointed in the response by York County. They were late getting that, late in responding. I'm hoping that they have a debrief, and I hope that our EMA director and myself is involved in that debriefing, because this is serious business. There must have been a lot of oil stored there. So, more to come on that. And they did contact me about the young lady that, I think she was 15 years old. She was missing for a while. They did find her about 1 o'clock in the morning. The police and the EMA and the fire departments were out looking for her. And they did find her safe.
Another item for emergency services. I haven't seen it recently, but I think we really don't need any reports from the well-spanned ambulance, because we don't contribute anything to them. They're just like a business. I don't think we should require them to submit anything to us. They will come to us, I'm sure, if they have an issue with something.
Yeah, I agree with that, Darryl. I'd like to put in a request that we meet the new guy that's controlling it, because they changed, right?
Yeah.
What was his name, Mr. Deerdorf?
Well, no, he's not there anymore.
No, I know.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
the old guy, older position, but never met the new.
Is there a new guy?
Yeah, hang on. And I'm not sure where his office is, because he's from evangelical.
Okay.
Hang on a second. I believe I- Matt Exley, E-X-L-E-Y.
Can you get the information to Christie? Maybe we might be able to set up a Teams meeting with him, just to introduce ourselves and stuff.
As far as the numbers for EMS, I would caution that it is advantageous for us to track those numbers, especially with the number of times fire departments are responding to the system on calls.
I'm sorry, Joe, did you say it would be advantageous? Okay.
You might have to turn that on. Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay. So tracking those numbers, I think, even though I get that the township doesn't contribute to them, it's important to have those numbers available for comparison as to how busy our ambulance services as compared to how often the fire departments are running in place for that ambulance service. While we're not getting the full picture or a clear picture, at some point, the township may be approached to pay for the EMS service, and you have no history to go back on. So you have nothing other than to rely on the information they're going to provide to you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Whereas if we collect that over time, we could repeat numbers or whatever.
So 911 doesn't track that information as well? Or they wouldn't share it with us?
This is what we keep running into with our county communications center. They tell us the numbers are there, they're just not available to us. And I think it's mostly because all that data is going into the system, and it's somewhere.
Right. And no
They're
reports
just not-
developed?
They're not really familiar as to how to extract all that. Beyond that, within the past year, 2 years, at the most, the county made significant changes in their IT program. Whereas the 911 center had their own IT service, it is now countywide IT service to your county government.
So we should go
the
ask
same
them.
people that are putting numbers in for the courthouse, the commissioners.
So we should go ask the commissioners, like, to design some
It's a
report.
very
to
poor
help the
design
municipalities.
because there are obviously numbers there. That should be beneficial to municipalities, to individual emergency services organizations as they grow.
Well, even to check your numbers, right, because you're tracking your own stuff, but it'd be nice if they provide a report to be like, hey, we called you 100 times and you've got 99 or 101.
Right.
Why is there a
So
difference?
there's something to be said for consistency. I would question that. They're providing a service to township residents. You should probably track and have them report monthly as to what kind of business they're doing.
Sure, they're tracking their stuff for billing purposes as well.
Oh, they absolutely are. And they have much better numbers than what they're sharing with the world. So it depends on what you want to see or how far you want that split down. As to what even basic numbers, what we provided, place of, ALS dispatches, advanced life support, paramedics.
So as long as we got what they gave before was good enough to have that history that you're talking about in the event that things change.
Somebody, one of the township residents comes in with a question, you don't really have anything to go back to and say, this is what they were doing, this is what they're saying. Then we have to go back to the source and ask them for numbers at that time, and
Depending on how long ago
who
it
knows
was.
what how that's gonna be patterned, so. I'm not suggesting it's anything nefarious, I'm just saying,
Right.
if we have the history already, then we have to go out with it.
Sounds like a phone call.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Max, you said. Max?
Matt?
Oh, Matt. Matt. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on to, if there's nothing else in the emergency services report, if there's any questions for emergency services? Moving on to subdivision land development. Let's go over the planning commission minutes.
I'm not sure if maybe we should just wait until Attorney Miller's report, because he hits on the one subject that was discussed by Planning Commission. And then the second subject would be the plan that's on the agenda for Casella. if you'd like to segue into that.
Yeah, before we move on, the planning commission meeting was very well done. I went on to listen to not only what their wisdom was, but to see if I could hear the broadcast, and it was very well done. I
Good.
could hear everybody
Good.
real well. So let's hold off one report and go to 265 Steamboat Boulevard. So we have a land development plan for Casella Mid-Atlantic LLC. Is there anyone here from, yes, Patty.
Patty, do you have an action report from us? Yes. Okay, I provided one just in case. Yep, there it is. Okay, very good. And then what we'll do is if you just want to tick down the action report, what's still open, what's closed, and then go into, you only have one common waiver. This should be pretty simple of a plan, actually. And I'll put your plan up on the screen so you can also describe the project to the audience. There we go. There's a lot going on there, but essentially, I will use my mouse to help you explain things.
Hi, Patty Fisher from James Holly Associates. I'm representing the Casella Mid-Atlantic LLC final land development plan. The plan, the property had an existing building on it, and all we are doing is adding a 1,500 square foot addition to that building. In the process, we are relocating a few things, the telephone pole, flagpole, and a couple of the planted area. And other than that, we have revised the stormwater management for the additional impervious surface. And when we went out and did the existing conditions plan, we had found that there had been stone paving added to the project that did not have stormwater management accounted for. So in addition to the stormwater management for that addition, we enlarged the stormwater management to take into account for that extra improvement. As far as the action, we have outstanding surety, which I believe has been submitted for review, and a waiver for the, I guess, the preliminary plan. We went straight to final plan because of the simplicity of the plan, so we need a waiver request for the preliminary plan. Anybody have any questions about what we're doing?
No, this is pretty straightforward. Kate, you're okay with everything? And Byron and everybody, all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a pretty straightforward plan with just a 1,500 square foot building expansion, and some minor stormwater and things. So Patty, if you want, go ahead and go down that action report, which I don't think actually any of these are closed, except for maybe the last one on York County Planning Commission.
If I could.
Sure.
So I have the set of plans that they were giving us, so, under the Gordon Brown's letter 2B, it does have the sewer authority signature on the plan.
Okay, very good.
Surety, I approved it, and that's the posted to amount that should stay open.
That's open.
2B, owner signature notarized the loan plan. And then, that's under York County Planning Commission, 2B, the owner's notarized statement is done. And then, one, if the waiver is approved tonight, so item number 4 there has to stay open until the waiver is approved.
Well, I had it all backwards, didn't I?
And it's my understanding, I do not believe that waiver is present in the cover sheet. So I think we will, once it's approved, I think we will need to have the cover sheets to add that.
You can always just give the label and we can stick it on it.
Is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Right here. Okay.
For each copy of the plan. Mm-hmm. And then it says additionally, if any applicable Agreements, fees, surety, that may be required for the plan, and then the recreation fee as well, would be open. And I do have the rec fee amount as $1,200, and I have a copy to give for you of that. Correct. So what I just heard is, really surety, rec fee, the waiver being placed on the plan as long as it's approved, and any agreements associated to this plan, are remaining outstanding. I don't think we've had this many things closed out on a plan in a while, huh? Uh-huh.
So, planning commission had no issues with this at all? Okay,
Not that I, no. I don't
Okay.
think so.
well, then we're ready for a motion.
Yep.
I want to make a motion that we approve this as a final plan with the conditions of approval of the open item as surety of the rec fee and the waiver request posted on the plan
And agreements.
and agreements. So that, I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
No? That's my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then you would just
Plan's
have,
approved.
you would just have to act on the preliminary plan requirement waiver. Did that happen just now? I didn't hear that.
Now, what do we have to do?
You just have to approve her only waiver. And we usually have like a list of waivers, but this time it was just, unless Andy, you accept that motion as an approval of the waiver.
So this is approval of the preliminary plan requirements? Is that what you're saying?
You're just waiving preliminary plan approval.
Yeah,
They
I-
can straight to final.
Yep.
I think I said that at the beginning of I wanted to do it,
You didn't mention the waiver.
You did.
okay.
You did.
So the waiver is 208-21A. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll add that to my motion. Will you second that amended motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
There's two,
And then Patty, here you go.
it's too simple. Patty, it's too simple. It threw us for a minute.
All right.
Okay, that takes us down to Andy. You're up. Solicitor's report.
The first item on my report is, the planning commission meeting that, Christie mentioned earlier, and the, recommendations that came out of that. We once again reviewed the draft of the data center ordinance, in that meeting, and I have in my report the three recommendations or suggestions they had for the board to consider. The first one was in section 255-57.2A, increasing the acres per building. Currently the ordinance regulates density in two ways. There's three ways. There's a maximum building coverage percentage, which is the percentage of the lot that can be covered by actual buildings. There's a maximum impervious percentage coverage, which is the area of the lot that can be covered by impervious area, which would also include buildings. And then lastly, we put in, because there could be multiple buildings for a data center project, we put in a limit of or a requirement that there be 20 acres per building on the property. So I just gave an example there. So for a 100-acre lot, there could be 4 buildings of 300,000 square foot each, which would be limited in that
increased by the maximum building coverage of 30%. Or there could be 5 buildings, 150,000 square feet each, which would be limited by the maximum buildings per acre. So they serve two separate purposes. I think the planning commission was asking if you would want to make the maximum or the acres per building something greater than 20 acres. I think that's up to the board. I don't know if I fully explained to the planning commission the interplay of the other density limitations that are in there for building coverage percentage and impervious area and percentage. So I tried to lay that out a little bit for you here. I didn't run a lot of examples about which would become more limiting and when. But there are multiple density limitations. I don't know if the 20 acres per building is, again, that's only one of 3 limitations. So I think it's up to the board whether or not you want to increase that sum. I wouldn't increase it that greatly because it would negate or make the lot coverage percentages almost pointless in the ordinance. So that's the first recommendation they had for your consideration. The second was to 255-57.2.B1B, and this was related to the maximum height. We had made a change, or I made a change based on, I think, some of the prior discussion, to make that maximum height 75 feet in the overlay district. The suggestion from the planning commission was to revert to the old language, which was to be just the maximum height of the underlying district, which means in agriculture it would be 55 feet in that district, and in the R2 district it would be 35 feet. Both of those would be relevant to the overlay that you're proposing. I don't know if those heights, I do think some of these buildings do get up to 75 feet, and some of the accessory structures to them, like transmission lines, gantries for substations, facilities like that, can exceed those heights of 35 or 55. I will tell you the planning commission's view on it was, particularly with the R2, it's encroaching into the R2 district. The building height should remain consistent for aesthetic purposes, should remain consistent with the building heights otherwise allowed in that district. But again, that's for the board to ultimately decide what height you would be comfortable with there.
If I may?
Sure.
My only thing about that is I specifically recall at that meeting, I think Tom was here, Andy, for that one. The board kept on saying that we wanted to prevent opening ourselves up for a challenge, and the worry, after that meeting was that we would be open to a challenge, setting the bar that low to 35 feet. And so I guess I would ask, what do you think? Is that too low? The other side of it is I partially agree with Planning Commission in that it'd be a good segue. If any buildings were built in that R2 area, it would be shorter, easier to screen. And then the further away it got from the residential Saginaw area, in that agricultural area, then what it would go to 55. But in the same sense, I just, what plays on me is, would that open us up to a challenge?
So, that is certainly a fairly restrictive provision, and I know at the planning commission meeting, I forget who it was, but somebody Troy had pictures of data centers that were staying under those height limits, is that right? I think,
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been in ones that are 35 feet.
Okay.
I think it all depends.
Right,
And it's a
and-
small piece of the large lot, of an overlay.
right, and I think, my other comment, which, this may or may not be true, but, was that, the lower the height restriction, the wider the building's gonna get to accomplish the same purpose. You still have your percentage limitations in building coverage and lot coverage as well, which will temper that some. But, I don't know enough about the actual facilities to know if that height limitation would be that restrictive. It sounds as though there's some evidence that it wouldn't be, and they don't have the right to build any kind of data center they want. It would just be if it prohibited them altogether, so.
Okay.
So I think I think you'd be comfortable with that change, in there. That's also a pretty discrete provision of the ordinance that could request a variance from that, or, if the board determined that there really was an exclusionary effect of that, it would be a pretty simple remedy in the ordinance.
Thank you.
So, that was the second issue, and then the final was, section 255-57-2E2. And this was a valid point that was brought up about the buffer. We changed the setbacks so that the setbacks are, I think, 300 feet, and, I think up to 500 feet, so. The buffer, we narrowed to 50 feet because the way the prior drafts of the ordinance were written, that was gonna have to be a 300 or 500 foot wide, vegetated strip. In other words, planted with trees, because that's the way buffer yard is defined in the ordinance. And I don't think that was intended. I think the intent was that the 300 feet to 500 feet would be setbacks, and there'd be an appropriate, screening buffer within that setback. We suggested 50 feet for that. The planning commission pointed out, and I think made a good point, that the planting requirements for that buffer are listed as, per linear foot. So if you make a wide buffer, but your planting requirement is per linear foot, they still just have to put one tree per 50 linear feet, or whatever those exact numbers are. But they could spread it out over a 300-foot wide buffer, so you may end up with a very sparsely planted buffer. Their suggestion was actually to narrow the buffer even more, down to 20 feet or 25 feet, and then the linear buffer provisions would make sense and would provide a pretty solid screening area.
Well, what about going the opposite way? So keeping it the 50 feet and then just beefing up that they, need to put those trees closer to make it more dense, in order to maintain a 50-foot buffer. I mean, the more trees you have in there, the better. We have a lot of great items in our ordinance in regards to sound and vibration and things, but it just helps in addition to. I don't know what your thought is about that.
So and the only challenge with doing that is I don't know if it's, and I don't know if Byron can tell us if it's appropriate to do, but, the one change that you could make is instead of saying that the buffer strip has to be planted per linear foot, say it has to be planted per square foot. I don't know, the only thing I don't know though is, now you're talking about a different measurement for the density. I think it still works, but, I don't know Byron, if you have any input on that. Yeah, the issue I have, and like I said, I think one of the reasons we wanna have a repairing buffer is to take some stormwater credits in this also. I mean, from planting one tree every X number, 50 feet or whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. I need the additional trees, so I'd be looking at more density than anything.
Like 50 feet in there or something.
Yeah, so there was one large evergreen for 25 linear feet, and then one canopy or shade tree for 75 linear feet.
So let's just take one evergreen, for example. So the buffer strip's 50 feet wide, every 25 feet. I horizontally plant one evergreen tree, but now do I have to go vertically, so to speak, two-dimensional, and 25 feet back from that? So
Yes, I think that's what it would be, I think that's what it would be saying, so, so you'd have 50 feet spaced in between, and this is where the measurements, this is where I would want to be careful about how to do this, because if you say, per 25 linear feet, now you have one tree every 25 feet. If you say per 25 square feet, now you're drawing a 25-foot square foot area around the tree. You actually have 50 feet in between the two trees now with the tree. So, I think we would just have to be careful about that. We can have, I mean, it may work, but we should probably have Byron and Raymond just take a look and adjust that line.
Can we make it broad? Make it broad and, per engineer's approval or something, make a dense
Well, I think that's
buffer or?
I think that's already, written into the buffering provisions, because they will have to provide a landscaping plan.
Mm-hmm,
And the intent of it is that it provide like continuous
right.
screening. So I think that is in there. Again, it may be as simple as just changing linear to square, but I would want somebody else to take a look at that.
do we have time to do that? Given the time?
Yeah, I mean,
March
that's the
17th.
only other concern right now, is that we are bumping up against, and I was, the rest of my report was, we wanna hold that hearing on April 8th. If we, the comment came from the Township Planning Commission, we could probably, if I hear back from Byron in the next day or so, the County Planning Commission doesn't meet until March 17th. We could probably get that change in front of them in time to be incorporated into their report.
How does this buffer compare to the buffers we use for industrial, wherever? Is it the exact same, or is this different?
I think this is more extensive and more.
More prescriptive than, so when this is more prescriptive than what we did elsewhere?
Yes, sir, question?
What was the percentage of the buffer had become?
Might be 100% for me.
I think what the planning commission and what the supervisors would want, Byron, is a thick, dense buffer strip. Whether we do that width, narrow it, amount of plantings, linear feet, square foot, we just want it thick, but then that poses a problem for staff too, because we're constantly going out there for the first 5 years counting dead trees. We do that and we make them replace it, but are we creating a situation where we can't enforce it?
There is already, a provision in subsection case 7 that, and this is what I was saying, there is a catch-all in there that says the planning shall be arranged to provide a complete uninterrupted year-round screening of the property that is at least 12 feet in height, measured in addition to the height measurement require burn within 3 years of planting, so that requirement that it be planted in a way that it requires, creates an uninterrupted stream is already there. Byron's point is valid though, if you want credits for stormwater,
We do.
requiring additional plants would make sense. So I would suggest just taking the provisions that we have and just converting that, just having Byron confirm what conversion of the square feet would make sense there, or if it makes sense, just doing, substituting linear for square feet.
Is that something you can do by and get back and, like, when you do it?
I'll do it. Yeah, we probably need it. I think it's hopefully that.
Mhm. And then as for code enforcement, I'm not too worried about that. I'll give you a good example. Over at Core 5 along Mundus Race, they have like a forested kind of area in the front there. And actually, that's our least amount of problems. It's actually the standalone trees that are, in a diagonal, similar to DHL or, how we do a lot of our industrial buildings. Those are the problems, is when they're just by themselves, spaced apart 5-10 feet. That's an issue. Yes, they die really quick, especially up on those berms. And the water drains down from them. So no, if this is thick, I think we won't have a problem.
Well, then, so we have a solution for that, and we
Mhm.
want to talk about the other two recommendations.
Yeah, we do. I like all three recommendations from the planning commission. They went through a lot of thought, a lot of deliberation, and come up with their best solutions here, and I like all three. I don't know, 255, 75, 2A, should we make it, it's 20 acres, should we make it 25?
So here's what I did, I took that one because I was listening to what Annie said, and just, so an acre of ground is, square foot is 43,560 square feet. 20 acres is 871,200 square feet. 30% of that is 261,000 square feet. So you can't build a 300,000 square foot building in 20 acres a month. Which gets back to your point, there's another track there.
Yes,
Right.
that will limit that density. And what I was just, when I did the math, it seemed as though increasing the acres per building may render the other two limitations pointless in the ordinance, which, that's not a defect in the ordinance necessarily, it's.
Right, so, sorry, Andrew, to make sure my math is right. In order to build a 300,000 square foot building, you'd need 1 million square feet, which is how many acres? Is roughly 22, call it 23 acres, to be able to build a 300,000 square foot building in here. So the way it's written right now, even on 20 acres, you can't do it. They'd have to, create a parcel of at least 23 acres to be able to build a 300,000, and that's as big as they can go based on that ordinance.
That's right.
And so, because I think the concern, because I did listen to it, right, the concern was someone comes in and looks to maximize the number of physical buildings, assuming the ground's all flat, or someone wants to spend the money to level it all, right? If I heard that correctly. And so I think to the point being made, it's a math exercise on what someone wants to do. You increase we go from 20 acres to say 30 acres, we still have a 300,000 square foot piece there. Do we get challenged then by someone coming back and being like, well, you're not letting me, go above that?
Right, and again, I don't know that we've done the math on all of that, how. My other concern is picking the 30 or 35 acres becomes somewhat of a random exercise. It's just picking a number. I think we've done the math on 20 acres and these other square footage limitations to see that they do kind of, sometimes one is going to be the limiting factor and sometimes the other is going to be the limiting factor. So they do, I think they do kind of work together this way.
Right, because the way it sits now, it's like, if I wanna build a 150,000 square foot building, mathematically, I don't need 20 acres. But the ordinance says, no, you have to have, your minimum size is 20 acres, right?
That's right.
So it's that juxtaposition of all these pieces of the puzzle.
Right.
I don't know how many permutations you have. So, I mean, I guess, for me, I do agree, there was a lot of thought put into it, but I'm like, if, at the end of the day, the biggest data center they can build is 300,000 square feet. If I wanted to maximize that acreage, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna break it up into 23 acre plots to make the math work for me. Now, whether that's logistically possible because of the topology or the terrain of that ground, that's a different issue.
My thoughts are just, we don't have that stipulation in there. They figure out what they want by the maximum amount they're allowed. And then they present their plans and what they're thinking of.
So then we could wind up with a 1 million square foot data center.
We have 1 million square foot.
Now, I'm just saying, I mean, yeah, I don't disagree with you, but it's a function of,
But I mean, I'm just thinking with developing, we'll figure that out.
Well, you have, what is the size of the overlay? So I mean, I think that's where, I think they were looking at that.
I don't know.
The number of acres that you have there. And
I'd have to
how many
look.
buildings could potentially be on there. And I think it's a planning decision. I mean, when you do that math, it sounds like a lot, but a 300 acre parcel is also a very big, a very big parcel. So,
it's basically 3 times of Rose's farm.
yeah,
But that's just the middle of the 100 acres.
yeah.
Okay, so are we saying we're gonna stick with 20 acres per building, or are we gonna increase that to 23 or 25?
I'm inclined to leave it at this 20 acres because again, it's the juxtaposition of all the different measures. If we want to limit the overall size to 300,000 square feet, so we don't wind up with a 1 million square foot data center building in that area, in the overlay. I kind of like the smaller buildings, provides a little more coverage, more, I guess more green space, if you will, because they can only cover, if I'm getting this right, 30% of that acreage within perimeter circles.
Yes, that, and that's the maximum, so, and that is some relief from the ag and RT districts normally are 20% maximum building coverage. That's even giving them some lenience on that. So the way it's written is it's the greater of 30% or the maximum building coverage of the underlying lot. Now, the industrial district, that's 80%. So it's a much different, it's a much different number in industrial.
Big pick on each road, but is there anything we're missing?
Don't you think where the lines that line is gonna be the map, what the separation between the acres, so they will put that common square foot.
Yes, I would agree with you.
I think that's what happened.
It could, but that's an awful lot of earth to go moving in. Where's the economic benefit of that, right? I mean, because there is the quarry back in there. You need all the buffer space, 500 feet from certain lot lines. There's an awful
One
lot.
of those buildings is 2.5 years, it's $2.5 million is just trying to 2.5 years.
Yeah, but you gotta So we're,
If I can add something, I was sitting here looking up, something I just did with repairing buffers, and I'm trying to remember the numbers here, but the PHP has a section of, just a, kind of like a section, nothing but repairing buffers, and what they recommend is 60% canopy cover. They do it by percent.
so you're talking about
The
the
number, instead
buffer
of,
strip.
yeah, well, instead of numbering trees, it's, if you follow the Pennsylvania DEP regulations, it's 60% canopy cover.
Which would be evergreen and.
It could be any, yeah, it's evergreens, it could be, and shrubs and things like that, so,
Okay.
but that's what their recommendations are.
I guess, because I mean, isn't that what happened at the planning commission? They took the number of acres and basically divided it by 20 and said you could go, it's like, I got 18 or 20 stuck in my head. I think that was the conversation when I was listening to what was going on, right? Somebody took the total acreage in the overlay and divided it by, I guess, 20 acres or something, and said there could be like 18 or 20 buildings, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, mathematically, I think that works. I didn't go check the math on it, but trust the person did it right. I don't know. I guess my concern is if we go, let's say we double it to 40 acres, so then I can cover up 30% of that, right? So that'd be at least 12 acres of land I can make impermeable. But now does that let me go above this 300 square foot limit that's imposed here? And I'd say, well, that's no. That's the other safety valve. So again, if 300 square feet is my maximum, I'm gonna do the calculation, which I did, which comes out to be 23 acres. Now, obviously, I need parking space and stuff like that, but okay, fine, let's take it to 25. Simple math says if there's, I'll round up to 400 acres, right? For every 100 acres, I can put in 4 buildings. So I'm at 16. Well, I'm not, sorry.
You're pretty loud. You were catching on the other ones.
Was I? Okay. Sorry about that. So it's that math exercise. So we go from 18 and maybe we drop that down to like 14. You know, if we double up the 40 acres. But again, you know, 300 square feet is what's in here. And I'm not opposed to leaving it there. I'm just not sure what increasing the lot size will do other than maybe potentially eliminate 1 or 2 buildings out of it. Again, I just think it's highly unlikely. Now, I haven't walked that terrain, but I've seen the overheads, and I gotta believe it's definitely undulating terrain. But again, we've seen them move a lot of earth, right, for all the right reasons. Unless we're changing the 300,000 square foot, I mean, I'm just not sure that we need to change the 20 acres.
So then,
But that's my opinion. I'm not sure where you gentlemen stand.
I mean, I know Herb, you and Herb were doing the math, and it's, I'm sure the math was right. Yeah, I don't see the benefit with the 300,000. You know. So that leads us to the first point on the acreage per building remain the same, and we'll follow the suggestion of the planning commission for the other 2. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's my view right now, because I think, you know, lower building heights certainly help out emergency services. I still think a 55-foot building, you don't have the equipment to get up. 35-foot building?
We're carrying, 24-foot extension.
So you jumped in the last 11 feet?
Well, we put the roof ladder, it's 14-foot roof ladder, put on top of it.
No.
We use a lot of them.
Bottom line is whether it's 35 feet or 55 feet, it's out of your range with the equipment you currently carry. So you're calling in a ladder truck regardless.
Right. And so every time we go taller, we rely more heavily on.
Which gets back to the comments you made previously. Gotcha. Okay, so we're not solving an emergency service thing with these heights. It just means from a screening standpoint. So yeah, I'm in agreement with those height restrictions.
All right, and Byron, you already know what plants you're planting and everything down there, right?
Well,
Just kidding.
yeah, I think, we ought to look at that. I mean, I don't think any of our ordinances say anything about PA native species, or maybe it does, but we really should be sometime looking at that in our ordinances about, requiring that they have to be PA native species, or come up with, if you use the Penn State agronomy site, they have a list of recommended tree plantings for street trees for screening, for buffering and things like that, that are all Pennsylvania native species, and we can come up with a nice list, but we've never, I usually try to require them to do that.
That's through the dialogue and going through the planning phases.
Yeah,
which
that we want
really
to-
isn't necessarily a problem. That's to their benefit because if they plant stuff that's native, you're more likely it'll live and survive.
Yeah,
So you're gonna get with Andy and let him know whether we're going to, narrow the buffer or require more plantings or both. Okay, because we want it thick.
so do we, again,
And that
do we
was-
wanna
that was the
consider
reason.
going, are we even considering going to what the DEP's, recommending, the 60% of canopy?
I'd be a little bit concerned with doing that because that doesn't, I think what DEP is regulating is sunlight coming down as opposed to visual screening. Because if you have only 60% canopy cover, there's going to be gaps in
But we're talking repairing the buffers. So repairing the buffer is not a screen.
right. Well, this is a screening provision.
This
This
is
isn't a, this is a, at least I interpret it as,
So that's where maybe I'm a little confused here. So if
So
it's a
this-
screen, that's a different
yeah, so
category.
this is a buffer yard, this isn't a riparian buffer.
Okay.
So it's, and most of these provisions are geared around visual screens, aesthetic screening.
Yeah,
So
I can come up with a couple of recommendations. for you.
So, yeah, and I think it's just a matter of looking at, is it okay to just convert from linear feet to square feet and fill in that full 50%, 50%? I don't think the planning commission was opposed to the width as long as it was fully planted.
Yeah, that's one of the thick.
Well, Mike brought it up that if you have it the widest, it's gonna take years till it fills in. And one of the residents, that was his issue. And as Mike said, you bring the width in, it's gonna fill in much faster for the residents.
That's what we're after.
Yeah, and I think we would accomplish the same thing if we made it square feet so that they have to,
Okay,
but that's what.
so do your math there, Mr. Math Wizard. If we go back to the first point there, if we would increase it to 25 acres,
Okay?
is that just exchanging one thing for another?
So 25 acres, right? Let's see, times 43 by 60. That's a little over, almost 1.1 million square feet times. That's 326 square feet. So I could build a building, 326,000, or, I'm sorry, have impervious surface in 25 acres of 326,000 square feet. That would potentially let me build a 300,000 square foot building and then have almost 26, little over 26,000 square feet of, driveway or parking lot stuff. So if, right now, the way it is written, I could do that. I go in there and I buy all the land in the overlay. I could break it up. If I want to build 300,000 square foot buildings, I'm gonna probably break it up into maybe 30-acre plots. So I can maximize the building and have the impermeable surface that I need.
What I'm after is minimizing the amount of buildings on the footprint.
And here, so is the 20 acres a minimum size that they have to have?
So that's a maximum density
Per
per
building.
lot. So one building per 20 acres is the maximum density.
Okay. So then they would build within that footprint, which gets back to the point being made by the planning commission. They wanted to maximize the number of buildings. They'll go in and build it smaller.
Right.
Seems like an awfully expensive proposition. That's what I'm struggling with, but to answer your question, if we up that number, then whether they build a 10,000 square foot building or a 300,000 square foot building.
It's going to, I mean, what that number is going to cause is, it's going to cause them to build bigger buildings.
Right.
Because they won't have the ability to build smaller buildings.
But less.
Whereas the building coverage percentage is gonna limit the bigger buildings. So they do kind of work in tandem that way, I think.
Sorry to interrupt you, Andy, but I'm finally getting your point. 150,000 square foot building only requires 3.5 acres to build. So if I wanted to build a smaller building, which generally costs less money, I still have to put it on 20 acres.
Yes,
According to this.
yes, that's correct. So you're probably going to then max out the size of that building, which is then gonna be limited by the building coverage percentage.
Right.
If you make the minimum number of acres even bigger, it amplifies that effect. You're just gonna get more big buildings. And that's a planning decision for the board. I mean, that's not necessarily a big
The purpose for this exercise was the planning commission for less buildings, correct? Yeah. Yeah, he was throwing some numbers around.
Because I remember he said 18, and I trust his math. And so I come back to 20 acres again, the maximum amount, 30% coverage is, excuse round numbers, 260,000 square feet. Okay? That's as much as you can put in a 20-acre piece. So, that person's going to build maybe a 200,000 square foot building, and then the rest would be that impermeable surface, parking, and whatever else will be out there. But yes, they would be able to, in essence, build 18 of those things in that size. If you increase it, which I think is your point, Andy, is you're really going to incentivize them to build bigger.
Well, they're going to maximize the building size, but then the other thing that it'll do is, if you go to 35 acres, the building coverage percentage is meaningless.
Right, it's pointless.
Yeah.
It's just 30% coverage over that area. Because they'll build 300,000 square foot. I mean, we still have that. That would be the upper limit, and that's where I was kind of playing around with that map to be like, well, okay, I need to get 23 acres, probably 25 or 30. But once you said it in the 30s, like, that developer's going to look at that map and be like, I'll build a 300,000 square foot building. And then so you take that, and if 20 acres was 18 buildings, let's see, I'm going to say it's probably goes from 18 down to maybe 12 or 13 buildings, possible.
And what I don't think I did a particularly good job of at the planning commission meeting was explaining how the building coverage percentage and the lot coverage percentage work with it. I think I think the discussion was more kind of in a vacuum about the minimum numbers, minimum acres per building, and just looking at that 300 acres divided by, 20 acres is this many buildings, and not really giving a lot of thought to how the building coverage percentage and the lot coverage percentages also limit the density and what they can do.
Right, because I'm not even factoring in, the 500 foot setbacks and whatnot. So I just did the math, because, he got to 18, it's basically 360 acres. I think it's maybe a little more, but close enough, good enough, right? So if you jump to 30, got lucky, 12 is right. But then there'll be 12 larger buildings. Again, got to factor in the 500 foot setbacks from certain lot lines, right?
That's right.
And all that kind of stuff. I just keep coming back to going like, it is a math exercise. It's very rolling terrain, and I realize that heavy equipment can do all kinds of wonderful stuff. But to me, that really starts eating away at the economics, notwithstanding the fact that those big hyper centers are, let's face it, it's Meta coming in, right? It's Microsoft, it's Apple, places like that. If those hyper centers, but there's other type of data centers. I'm sure the ones you've been in have been all different flavors, right? Yeah. So we just need to make a decision. My recommendation, based on everything, is just, I appreciate the feedback of the planning commission. I just don't see changing this number being of any material help to us right now. Doesn't mean we might not, wake up tomorrow and get new information, which we could certainly change it at a later date if we get new information. That's my recommendation.
25 acres.
I just think we hit a happy medium here with 25 acres. It reduces the amount of buildings. We have numerous, we have one back behind me, 1.3 million square feet built.
Mm-hmm.
And,
That's industrial with 80% lot coverage too, right?
yeah, and no one comes in and petitions against that, All of a sudden it's the data center and oh my goodness, it's,
Well, it's the latest
So-
buzz, so.
So I'd like to follow the planning commission on their wisdom and just bump it up to 25 acres.
I'm fine with that. I just want to make a decision and get this thing moving, so we stay on our timeline.
And then we will concur with,
You want to do those individually?
we can, I'll make the first motion that we agree, is that the terminology, or make a motion that we
Revise,
adopt?
I would say revise, right?
Revise?
Yeah, yes, revising.
Section 255-57.2.a, and revise that from 20 acres per building to 25 acres per building.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. We'll do the next one, Darrell?
The, section 255-57.2.b,
One.
small b, reverting the,
255, 57, 2B,
B as in boy,
B, capital B,
Yeah. Capital B.
1 lowercase d as in David.
1, small b, got it, thank you.
limiting the maximum height in the underlying district, this would revert to 35 feet in the R2 district and 55 feet in the Ag district.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And, for section 255-57.2, capital B, 2, we have an action to get some revised wording on the buffer strip so that we get the desired coverage and thickness and density of that vegetation from our engineer.
I'll second that motion. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries.
And I do just want to mention one other thing that I noticed in the draft, just so, I don't know how closely everyone's read this, but in section 83-6, with the changes that have been made, subsection J and subsection L had the same provisions in them regarding locating the buffer strip in the building setback. So I'm going to delete subsection L just simply because it's duplicative of what's in J.
Okay.
That's it on the data center ordinance. We are getting ready to advertise that for the April 8th public hearing. We'll have York County Planning Commission comments after March 17th, which can be discussed and potentially considered at that April 8th hearing. However, just so everyone's aware, I think we'll be limited in what changes you can make if you want to actually adopt the ordinance that night without sending it back through for the planning commission.
Repeat that, Andy, I'm sorry.
If you make, once it's going through the planning commission,
We'll be done with our substantive changes.
if you make substantive changes, like, for instance, making these kinds of height limitation changes, those kinds of changes again, I think at that point you have to send it back to both planning commissions. We're doing it here simply because we can get these in front of your county planning commission before they make their recommendations. So the recommendations came from one of the planning commissions, and get it in front of the others before they make any decision on it. I think we're okay doing that. Once it's going through both planning commissions and you hold the public hearing, if you do make changes at that point, you have to consider whether or not they have to be submitted back through the planning commissions for both planning commissions to consider them. In other words, both planning commissions are ready to consider these changes right now.
Okay.
And the April 8th is really pretty much up against the edge of our.
It's, yeah, I think it's a little bit later in April that it expires.
19th.
So, remember too, whatever you, if you take action on April 8th, whatever you enact can be amended.
So if your county comes in with something
Substantive?
substantial, then we could consider that to change that in the near future.
Yes, after the ordinance is adopted. Again, you know, I will say the last ordinance that we sent through your county planning commission that was fairly similar to this, I think this one's a little more in-depth. They came back with a recommendation to approve it with no comments, so I'm not expecting a lot of comments from them, but you never know.
You need a motion to,
No, I think we already had that. I think you scheduled it the last meeting. So,
You don't need a motion for that one paragraph you're addressing, it's still a draft.
no, that's just I would just consider that a draft order. There's no material change or literally no change in the content of the ordinance at all.
So while we're still on this, we're gonna post the properties. When's that date, 17th of March, or is it in April?
Where's my?
We were talking about doing it about 2 weeks before the meeting.
Okay, so then that's maybe St. Patrick's Day, around the 17th of March.
Oh, March 25th.
March 25th. So the property's been posted, the letters went out. And we're going to have the meeting on April 8th at the Manchester Fair Hall. And that'll start at 6 PM. And we are going to solely dedicate that night to this ordinance, for this hearing. So we will still go through with our regularly scheduled township meeting then the 14th. To take care of the other business.
Yep.
So is there anything, lessons learned from the last hearing that we had that we need to discuss while we're all here? Logistic wise.
I think logistics, it worked fine. I mean, sound-wise, you could hear everyone. I think from a recording standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was okay, if I
Yeah.
remember. I think the logistics were great. Location worked out well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I was writing a lot that night.
So should we arrange for an officer or two to be present that night?
Before, maybe one.
One? No, you take care of that?
Mhm.
Okay. So then, set up the same procedure. We'll post our comments, or 3 minutes per person. Are we going to put a limit on the amount of time?
No more than an hour and a half.
Because everything that was asked was answered already. So, all right, 3 minutes per person, hour and a half, maximum. All right.
Wouldn't expect to hear any new information.
No, same stuff, so. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have any ideas of doing anything somewhat different.
No, appreciate that.
Like, I didn't know if you wanted to sit on the other side of the room, so
Depends if I have popcorn, maybe.
okay. All right, Andy, sorry about that detour, go ahead.
I think that's it for the data center ordinance. Next, I had on my agenda the park rules and regulations, and I apologize, I realized, or Chrissy reminded me that last month, you had authorized for that to be, the changes brought forward by the rec board to be added and it actually adopted for action this month. I did not get it advertised. We already have it advertised, or scheduled to be advertised for the April meeting, so we'll have that back in front of you. The change was made, in the ordinance. I think the change was just that the language about harming, wildlife or domestic pets be changed to threaten or, so that was done. The next item then is, request from Orchard Business Park, Phase 2, the Tinsley project, on the western side of 83 along Canal Road. We have, I believe, finalized with staff's input and, with staff's input and discussions with the developer, I believe we finalized the development agreement, stormwater agreement. I submitted them with my materials in final form. I also submitted a proposed deed. One of the pieces of this that I know kind of gets lost in the shuffle with everything else is there's a small portion of land on the eastern side of 83 that's still part of this lot, and that's actually getting conveyed back to the township as part of this. It's in the area where the township already owns land in anticipation of a potential interchange there someday. We prepared that deed. We prepared that deed to be done as a deed in lieu of condemnation if the board passes a resolution to condemn that land, and then the developer gives a deed in lieu of condemnation. There's no transfer tax on that, otherwise you do have to pay the transfer tax on the transfer. So that's a common way that we've done it elsewhere in this situation. So those deeds are ready as well, and that that resolution. There's no action evening that won't happen until the plan is recorded. And then, lastly, Kinsley asked for a modification of the conditions on the plan approval. They would like to record the final land development plan, and I think just seal everything up, so that they're in a position to work on pulling building permits. They would like to do that before the Canal Road Betterment Project amendment is signed, or potentially do that. The other reason is also that the Canal Road Betterment Project amendment will adjust the contribution percentages of the developer based on the final square footage of the building, and recording that final plan will seal or cement the final square footage of Kinsley's building, so those adjustments will be made. So that's three things in front of you. The development agreement and stormwater agreement, the developer hasn't signed yet. It's just a matter of the board approving the forms of those. And then the modification of the conditional approval, a letter was provided to you with the meeting materials as to those specific modifications. The board can discuss whether you want to move forward with any of those this evening or not. I don't know that there's a pressing time deadline for doing this, other than I think Kinsley just wants to keep their plans and meeting their conditions together as well. And know that we're done negotiating the development agreement and stormwater agreement.
So that was two. What was the third one?
So the third one was just, informational. I don't think that requires action from you, but that was just letting you know that the deed for the parcel that's going to be conveyed to the township, that's prepared as well in the resolution.
So, Andy, just flat out, if we assign everything from Kinsley and let them continue down the road, do you feel, in your professional opinion, that they are going to back us on the Canal Road Betterment Initiative to get that complete?
Yeah, I mean, to date, they certainly have been. This would only be, well, the agreements for the project are gonna have to get approved either way before they record the plan, so that doesn't really affect the Canal Road project. The condition about recording the plans before the Canal Road agreement is signed, I think they have a legitimate point there about finalizing the square footage of their buildings. I do think, they still can't pull the building permit. The only work, they've got an existing HAP that they're worried will expire, that requires some grading. That's the only work they would intend to do on the property. They would still have to, the agreement for Canal Road would still have to be finalized before they pull a building permit and start any actual construction. But I think more importantly, driving their project is, the Canal Road project has to get done for them to have access to their building to ever do anything beyond construction there. So I think that's going to be a moving factor for them going forward to keep the heat on getting everything finished.
Well, then I'm not opposed to signing those, so that they can continue on. Our initiative, Canal Road, I think the upcoming this early spring, there should be a Canal Road Betterment meeting, face-to-face, Andy. And I don't know if that's doable, but I think we get more done with it face-to-face. It's so easy to hide behind the telephone and not say anything and not commit to anything. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, just as an update on the project, Erdman Anthony, who's the consulting engineer on it, has been working. There's a lot of pieces that have to come together before the HOP can even be issued. The HOP plans have been to PennDOT, they've been reviewed multiple times. They're now finalizing
Andy's told
other. I'm sorry, my mic keeps going off for some reason. They're finalizing they're finalizing the things that have to happen for the HOP to get formally approved and issued by PennDOT, which is utility relocations, which they've been working on, and that's a long process and challenging. They're subject to the work schedules and review schedules of the utilities themselves. And there's not a lot that even PennDOT can do to move them along faster. But that's been going on for quite some time, and they've made a lot of progress with that. They've got a Chapter 105 permit for their stream impacts that's still with DEP, and again, that's another state agency that even PennDOT can't control getting that issued, but that's been there long enough now that we should be nearing the time when that permit gets issued. It's been through the review process a couple of times now. And then there's right-of-way dedication that has to be obtained along Canal Road. There were two property owners that would not settle and agree to dedicate right-of-way, so Conowingo Township in the last week initiated the declaration of takings for those parcels. It's not parcels, but it's for right-of-way area along their frontage. So that's in process now as well. So all of those things are moving along, and I still believe at this point are the limiting factors or the things that will dictate the schedule of the project. We circulated comments back and revised drafts of the various agreements that back up the project last week. Those still need to be finalized as well. I'm hoping within the next few weeks we have comments back from all the developers. We are holding the bi-weekly Canal Road calls. What I would suggest is if we don't feel as though there's progress at the next Canal Road call on this, we can push the township, Christie and Shane and I can push to have an in-person meeting to try to finalize this, since the agreements are, we have comments circulating, the agreements are drafted. I don't think we're far off from the Canal Road betterment agreement. One of the biggest things that's been holding that back is there still are some uncertainties about the timing of opening the alternate route for the construction schedule, the bridge sequencing, some things like that have just been difficult, I think, for the engineers to pin down. But we can see where we are on the next call, and if it's productive, try to push for a face-to-face meeting. I agree, if there's still pushback from anybody about what's being circulated, then maybe getting that meeting would be helpful to get everybody to sit down and finalize it.
Well, we could send Shane out with the grader and park it on the grid. I mean, that would get some movement.
Yeah, or
The bridge would probably collapse.
or at one of their driveways.
I seriously am concerned about the bridge going across there and PennDOT puts a restriction and restricted the second time, and it's not getting younger.
Yeah, I think, and I think everyone is fully aware of that. I mean, I do think that Hillwood and Kinsley and RPC in particular, really want this project to be behind them. This has been dragging on for a long time for them, and the roads will benefit
Well, again, I'd like to thank you on your hard work on this, because without you, that road from Locust Point to Susquehanna Trail, it'll eventually get done, and it's credit to you for your hard work in getting that done. We appreciate that.
So, there, and I, was there a motion on Kinsley?
I was just gonna ask who would make the motion.
Yeah, I am gonna make a motion that we honor the request. And that was, I had that, what was that, the development, stormwater and conditional approval bonds.
So their request was, to modify conditions 6 and 7 of the final plan conditional approval letter, that would read, as follows: paragraph 6 would be changed to read, funding and escrow of developers' obligations under the Canal Road Betterment Project Agreement based on the size of the proposed warehouses shown on the final plan will occur prior to any earth moving activity, except earth moving activities in connection with a highway occupancy permit issued to the developer, or issuance of a building permit for construction of a building shown on the final plan. Developer shall have the right to record the final plan prior to such funding. So basically, that change is simply, instead of requiring them to fully fund Canal Road prior to recording their plan, they would be able to record their plan, and then they would have to fully fund it prior to getting any building permits for construction. And then condition 7 is modified with issuance of the Canal Road Betterment Project, HOP, providing for the completion of the intersection of Regional Way, Canal Road, and the shared access drive will occur prior to any earth moving activity, except earth moving activities in connection with the highway occupancy permit issued to the developer, or issuance of a building permit for construction of buildings shown on the final plan. Developer shall have the right to record the final plan prior to issuance of the Canal Road HOP. So, same thing here, and again, with respect to this one, the other factor is when this agreement was originally, and that plan was approved, I think there were still hopes that the Canal Road HOP would move along faster than it has. That's not really Kinsley's fault, that's a product of DEP, PennDOT, the utilities, a lot of other factors, that still hasn't happened. So I think Kinsley just wants to, they want to move the project along one more step, so that it's ready to go, when those things do happen.
All right, so I'll make that motion. The changes will be given to you in written form for paragraphs 6 and 7. Is there anything else I need to add to that motion?
No.
So that'll be in my motion then. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
You want me to just attach that request to the
Yes,
minutes?
yes.
Okay, that's what we'll do.
Please.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Christie, do you want to do a letter for Kinsley, just notifying them that, and you could just attach their letter and just say that the requested changes.
Sure.
They have something, because we have that document.
Yeah, I mean, I have it prepared for tonight, and Dave can sign it, and then I can just send this to him, if that's okay. Now, they'll have to sign it and send it back. That's what we did the last time.
And then the last thing on my agenda is just, battery energy storage system ordinance, and just bring this to the township's attention, and I provided some materials, as demand for electricity keeps growing exponentially, and as I think everyone heard in the news and read about the challenges that the PJM grid faces, in balancing the demands for electricity within the grid. Battery energy storage is becoming a more and more prevalent use. I think I was at a meeting last week where someone working out of Maryland, said that Constellation Energy would provide net power many battery energy storage facilities, he mentioned, but, that they're actively building and constructing those in Maryland, Connecticut, so, yeah, that's probably coming here as well. Another one of those questions is, does the township want to try to get out ahead of that issue with regulations in the ordinance that would apply to, and this is, anticipating more standalone battery energy storage systems that would just simply pull electricity off the grid when there's excess electric and push it back onto the grid when there's demand. It's something for the board to consider. I gave you some background materials. What we were going to try to do is gauge how many municipalities wanted to pursue something like that and try to split the cost for a model or for a template ordinance among municipalities. So our question would just be, is the township interested in pursuing something like that? And if so, we'll keep you in the loop as that process moves forward. Or you're welcome to do it in a different way or on your own if you want to do that. If you're concerned about this use.
Well, I am concerned about this use. I think we should need to continue to be ahead of the curve. I looked at both Beth's ordinances, and they're both very well written. I think we need to stay consistent with our data center zoning regulations, because the battery storage, the lighting and sound and everything goes right down along our ordinance, and we put a lot of time in for that. So if someone else wants to get with us and we can split the cost, sure. I think that should have been done right off the bat for the data centers. I think municipalities should have gotten together and said, hey, what are you guys doing? We're doing this. It would have saved a lot of time and energy. So that's my opinion, fellas. What do you think?
I agree, partnering up with others, if they're looking at it, why not? And then, worst thing is we don't learn anything and we follow what we've done before. Best case is we share the cost.
Exactly right. And if and when this comes in somewhere, it's going to be just like the data center. It's going to be topographical limitations and advantages for something like this.
Yeah, and, the scope and scale of these is, I think, still a little bit uncertain, but I think it's fairly well established that it's going to be an important component to balancing out the grid and keeping the grid functioning.
Right, because I want to remind ourselves, it's better to be in the front of the curve with something like this that may show up. Right now, it's just something that's out there, number one. Number two is because of the period of amendment that we took for the data center, we can't exercise that for another 2 years and probably 8 months.
Right.
Okay. So I think, being proactive like we have been is the prudent thing to do.
There's a lot of things in that we've already covered in all ordinances. So it can be scaled down or mentioned that it's covered elsewhere.
I agree with Daryl.
Yeah, I agree with Daryl as well, because all of this is, we go through, just for everybody to know, that we do take notes throughout the year and ordinances that are, they need bumped up with the times, or we need to changed altogether. We compile a list of that, and then we get with the planning commission and we go over our ordinance review. And this, and this would be a good one to include in there.
The one way of saying yes.
Yes.
So we'll take that back. I don't think there's any formal action that's needed at this time. We're going to start working on this. That's it for my report, unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Andy?
Nope.
Is there something about county roads? Or is that-
I put that on here, Andy, just in case you had it ready, but I heard from Shane that there was more comments back on that agreement, so if you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I can just mention what, I think it's, the main concern in it is the indemnity language currently, and hopefully Columbia Gas agrees with this, but the township was indemnifying Columbia Gas for anything that would happen while they were videoing the lines, and my comment in changing the agreement was that the township shouldn't have to indemnify Columbia Gas if one of their employees is injured doing the work, and the way the indemnity was worded, it was any loss suffered by Columbia Gas or any of its contractors. So I sent that change back to Shane, hopefully with that explanation, they're okay with it, but I don't know if he's heard back yet.
Yeah, well, I sent it back over to him, Andy, and it started hurrying it back.
Yeah, so, I mean, it should be close, I just, want to be cautious about an indemnity that is as broad as what they were suggesting.
Thank you.
Okay, it takes us to, any other questions for Andy? Byron?
North Sherman Street's in PennDOT's hands, where I've had a couple minor conversations with, sewer authority and Columbia Gas. But it was just, they had to confirm that they were okay with, if they had to relocate and at their cost, et cetera. So everything's out for bids and it'll be supposedly done here in the spring.
Yeah, as soon as they blacktop and everything, Columbia Gas will pick it up, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, Willow Springs cul-de-sac, nothing to report really on that at this point. Espresso Way, I just talked with Andy a little bit here this morning, I sent him over. They depend on, and the last thing they asked for, they want a temporary construction easement. Even though that, the work appears to be all within right away, that they just want, again, a temporary construction easement there to, before they issue permit. So Andy's gonna have to get that all together and send that information over to him. That's all I had.
Any questions for Byron?
No.
Thank you, Byron. I think that takes us to Mr. Public Works Director.
Yes, sir. Any questions on my report, gentlemen?
Yeah, I do. As soon as I pull it up, I got a couple questions here. There you go.
Okay.
Picking up large trash, I don't know what that means.
Physically checking our roads ahead of the street sweeper and cleaning our roadways too.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes, it does now. And then up in building maintenance, installed cord holes in desk.
The desk you're sitting at has brand new wiring and microphone and holes drilled in it.
Okay.
You notice how long they stay on too.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I'm gonna do an
It's a
email.
technical issue, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, like Byron's just shut off down
yeah.
there. And he's shut off, mine just shut off.
Nice job in the holes. That probably wasn't.
Did we do all right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else in my report?
No, sir. That's it.
The next thing I have is I'm asking for a motion to approve my yearly bids. I'd like to read them, and they will need signed. So to start, my stone bid was awarded to Kingsley Material. My asphalt bids were awarded to York Materials Group. Equipment rental was awarded to Emery J. Peters. Line painting was D.E. Gemmel again.
And mowing, we have a new mowing service this year, was Calvary Enterprises LLC.
So that's new.
The mowing?
Yeah.
Yes. He actually won it, he won it last year. I had to deny him because he could not do the soccer fields on Thursdays. And he missed that in part of the bidding specs, so. So he bid again this year, and he's okay with the soccer fields on Thursdays.
Okay. So you need a motion, right?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we award all the bids that the Public Works Director outlined for us.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And the only other thing I have is we started street sweeping this week. So if you have curbs, sidewalks, anything like that, blow it out, we're getting around to it, so. And we hope it don't snow again.
You said
It could snow again, we could have to start street sweeping over,
You
so.
said it won't snow since you started sweeping. the
No, it
street.
probably will, but yeah. Yeah, just trying to wish it away, so.
Just be safe, yeah.
That's all I have.
The street sweepers working well?
Great. Yep, doing a nice job. Yep. So far. You had to say something, didn't you?
You know, need equipment
Yeah.
and use them.
That's all I have unless you gentlemen have any other questions.
Any questions for Shane? Shane?
No, commend the, I commend the, Public Works Department for their snow removal efforts this season.
Thank you, Darryl. I'll let the guys know. Yep, had a pretty good winter this year. So, yep.
Stand by.
Shane, are they supposed to be signing every single signature page or only the ones that you put sign here stickers on?
No,
Because,
there's 3 signatures on each one.
but there's
Multiple.
multiple pages of signatures.
Let me see.
Gemmel right here. You sign here.
Yes, and then some of them have
But then back
chairman, vice
here.
chairman.
So I assume I sign this.
Yeah, because he signed that, yeah.
I don't know, that's not where I remember signing before Christmas.
I think it's because you're accepting them,
Yeah,
and then
that-
that's the performance bond.
That's the
We don't do
performance bond, that ain't
yeah.
nothing on that, that's the,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, just, when you guys go to sign this, just page through it and get those
Let me see
pages.
the well, no, a bit shorter than the rest, so that's all it is.
I guess you're not getting any snow if you don't sign all the papers, right?
Oh, we're still getting it.
Yeah, no, that
That's
one
just
only
a
has
library
one,
resource
yeah.
aid,
So in here, so you sign, you sign there.
Yes.
Nothing there. And there's signed
There. And nothing else. It was just that one, which one was it?
Yeah,
Line painting.
yeah, line.
It was line painting.
Gemmel.
I'll have to look at that.
Does it go down for more, or does it already get?
Done.
Oh, this one's done? Oh, there's 2.
The more pages I sign, the worse the signature goes.
Okay, we'll move right into your report, Christie.
Sure. Okay, so for the sewer authority, the only thing that was to note on those minutes was that once again, they are keeping an eye on loan refinancing. And They're waiting to see if the interest rates are gonna come down. They're gonna make a decision at their March meeting. They just got a new website. Then down in their engineers report, I found that they're basically, and they had asked us about this, they wanted to know if we knew of any plans or anything for the future, and the only thing we gave them was stuff that came in the past that never came to fruition. You know, like for instance, there was a big residential plan for the Musser Farm a long time ago, you know. So we just gave them a list of that. So what they did was they were examining the zoning and potential development of vacant parcels to determine the size of future upgrades and acreage necessary to accommodate the plant expansions. And then the next item, LSA grant. They're applying for a lot of grants, pretty much, and trying to get awarded. That was really it in their report. 4 minutes.
And Will is working out, he's attending, I see he's in the minutes, so attending the meetings and getting acclimated. Good.
Yep.
Any questions for Christie?
No.
Moving on to Kate.
So, I don't have much for this month, I don't believe. So, no zoning hearing board or planning commission for March. Other than that, do you have any questions or anything?
No, your report's very good.
I'm just gonna add something I noticed. It's a good thing. Her numbers for this month and last month for permit issuance is back up above 2023's numbers and just below 2022's numbers. And 2022 was like the worst. And when I say worst, I mean like the highest amount of permits. Kelly was here at that time. She was practically killing herself to get those permits done. And then in 23, it came down a little bit, and then it began to drop. Well, this year, it looks like they're above 23s, but once again, below 22s. So just to give you an idea of what January and February is looking like so far.
Yeah, I noticed that's in red.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's only red because it's the current month.
Right.
So May is the big month, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we'll see what happens there. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to point that out.
So you're basically asking all residents to submit permits in advance.
Okay, anything in the codes officer report? Anything you'd like to bring up about the codes officer or anything?
If you want to. Go ahead.
I'm not really sure what you want to say, but.
So our codes officer, we hired a new codes officer.
Right.
And he got another position, so
Correct.
he's leaving us.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have another codes officer applicant
Mm-hmm.
starting on the
30th. Mm-hmm.
of this month.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of what was going on.
It kind of came out of nowhere, and I wasn't sure if we were going to bring it up or not tonight.
It
So
needs
yeah.
to be out there. So we went to, we were impressed with, on the interviews, we were impressed with the two different people. We selected one, and that didn't work out, so we offered this.
Yeah, we're still happy. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We like the second person
We were
too.
fortunate that the second
So.
candidate was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are very fortunate.
She's
Yeah.
gonna work out well.
I think that's what made this so painless, to be honest, because we knew, she was taking it.
Okay, takes us down to Recreation Board, and you want to discuss 11.3.1.
Well, so real quick, just to go into rec board minutes, I provided the approved February 4th minutes, which Shane and I already talked about last month with you guys because we were at that meeting. And they met again March 4th. I have them all hooked up, with getting into the building, and they have access into the lobby and the meeting room, not into the office area or anything. But basically, they discussed a lot of very exciting things that I was just going to bring up tonight. But the first thing is they had a question. They wanted to know what you, the board, is expecting of them for their involvement in the soccer association. And I imagine what they meant was, at the fields of Bruner Island. Shane and I met on this and we discussed it because remember, we did get an applicant last year because they wanted to have the tournament down there. And I created an application based off of that experience. And at that time, we didn't have a very active recreation board. And they had very poor planning where Shane was getting called on that weekend of the tournament. And they're like, oh, you got to get, the Jiffy John guy down here and pump these Jiffy Johns. And as it turns out, they probably just should have had more Jiffy Johns. They didn't have adequate amount of dumpsters. They were supposed to take care of that. And they ended up doing it after the fact. But so one thing that we were talking about is requiring them to do escrow in the future. And then, since it's our Jiffy John guy and our, contract with Republic Services, then we would be the point of contact for providing those services. And then we would take the bills out of the escrow. Now, fortunately, because it is an organization, they did pay us once we invoiced them. But my worry is, just treat everybody fair. What if you get somebody who doesn't, want to pay an invoice? That could happen in an organization. But so anyways, coming back around to the rec board's request, I was planning on just giving them pointers of what Shane and I did. And, whenever they'd get an applicant, maybe Shane or I would write a recommendation of what we'd like to see if they approve the event or whatever event is happening at Bruner Island. But then to follow that up, they have some ideas on utilizing Bruner Island soccer fields with like an Easter egg hunt, a food truck, outdoor movie event, all very great ideas. But I think I'd have to defer to Attorney Miller because I think it's up to the Board of Supervisors, since you hold the contract with Talent Energy, on if you'd want to approve those events. Would you expect the rec board to come to your next advertised public meeting and make these requests to you to allow them to do an event on Bruner Island? Or are you going to let them just make those decisions in their meeting? I don't know.
Well, let me ask a basic question. Say I'm the head of a soccer organization and I come to you guys and say I want to rent those fields down there and put a weekend tournament in. Is there a contract I sign? Is there rules and regulations from Talon that I'm not allowed to drive anything in the ground in the field because it has we
fancied a permit up. It was the first time dealing with it, so I made this application, we made a permit, and yeah, it did have rules on it. We did put, you guys had actually brought up things in the public meeting, because we came to you with the request last year, and then you put stipulations on it, and then also Shane and I added things that we knew, like for instance, you just said you're not allowed to drive anything into the ground, even a sign, nothing gets driven into the ground because of the matting that's underneath there. So so that's one of those things where we would give a recommendation to the rec board of, hey, when you make this motion, make sure you're including X, Y, and Z in this. But I like your idea with an agreement, that where it's just a template agreement when they want anyone who wants to have an event down there, even if it's our own rec board,
I would suggest gentleman that we put the onus back on the rec board, with good people on there. Have them come up with a reservation form or a template of one. They get that to us, we run it through Andy to make sure there's indemnification clauses there in case some little guy falls and breaks its tooth or something. And then as for reserving the place, if it goes through the rec board's wash, and they have, say, 5 recommendations for Easter egg hunt and this, just have them submit a request form to you to request to us so that we can, well, if they recommend it.
Were they
yeah.
looking to see for people to put these things on, or did the rec board actually put them on?
I think the rec board is getting to the point where they want to put on events.
Yeah,
So
yep.
that requires funding, which we have the rec fund for, right?
Yes.
Well, and they're gonna come to you for those financial requests with their plan, yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I understand all the movement.
Yeah,
I don't think we've micromanaged that group, but at least we should have the final say on,
Yeah, funding, and make sure the agreement, the template
right.
meets the legal terms that protect all parties, you know.
Yeah,
And
per the
I'm
ordinance.
excited that we've got a group that really wants to put on some events, that's gonna be great.
yeah.
My question is, does town and energy have any, should we be contacting them also?
Yeah, that's
Any,
handy.
yeah, I'm just looking at the lease now,
I'm asking like, what you say, a movie night?
Yeah,
So that might be done after dark.
right.
That might be some issues, or it might not be, I don't know.
yeah, so it can only be used for public recreation purposes. The way it's worded, it says for public recreation, specifically use of the athletic field, so if you can justify it as public recreation, that's probably okay.
Yeah.
Any improvements that would be made, anything that's gonna be attached to the land in any way has to be approved by the town, but aside from that, there's not, town can make rules and regulations that apply to it as well, but I don't believe they have.
There's no dusk to dawn or
I
anything
mean,
like that.
Right, looking at some of the ideas that they've suggested, I mean, I could certainly park these all under recreation.
Yeah.
And none of them look like it would be some permanent structure or something to affix,
Yeah, I don't think there's any, and I don't think there's any power.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
they
that's
have
good.
lighting down there, they do play soccer late in the evening sometimes, they put lighting up, so really it ain't much different, I just wanted to make sure from Andy, you know.
You know, it makes
there wasn't
sense.
any-
Like you said, a movie night, you obviously need.
Is it dark, I would hope, yeah.
Well, and we're passing those park rules next month, and isn't there a time limit on that? Is that something that's waivable by the rec board then, if they're the ones creating an event? Just curious, thinking outside the box here.
Good point, but I think we should have some,
We should just raise it as
be
a
able
question.
to have some latitude there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But I wanna support the rec.
This is awesome.
Well, I think it's cool too.
Yeah.
I love a lot of their, I'm gonna read, I was planning on reading their ideas because I was so excited, so.
Yeah, and I can see Christie there for Easter egg hunt.
Uh-huh. There you go, all right. So these are the ideas. Horseshoe League at John Rudy, Touch a Truck National Night Out, Easter egg hunt at PPL, food truck and outdoor movie event at PPL, trunk or treat, cross week running program. Is that X week or cross week? Because I read that both ways. Okay, all right. And then community 5K race, township park scavenger hunt, where you take a selfie when you get to the park at whatever spot they want you to take the selfie at. Shane was telling me that he thinks the school did that one time and they had fun doing that when Lily was in school. And then school student poster contest, and they have a goal. Their goal is to host an event or program in May, like poster contest, paint the park. In June, they want to do the park selfie. And in July, they want to do the scavenger hunt. August, obviously, National Night Out. So it's just exciting that we're finally doing something. So anyways, that's all I have on that.
Don't make it go pink snow plows too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just appreciate them really stepping up and wanting to do something. That's great.
Christie.
Yep.
I'm gonna send you an email for discussion of the lease. The lease expires August 10th, 2027.
Oh,
It was a 3-year lease with 2 one-year automatic one-year extensions, so just try to reach out to town and, just ask to extend it, keep extending it.
Mark Jackson.
Yes, Mark Jackson. So I'll send you a copy of the lease.
Sure. Yep.
Charlie would like to extend it to 3-year extension.
Well, then it'll become our DEP problem, so that'd be I don't know about that. But then, yes, that takes me into the Springettsbury Township item that we added to the agenda. And so basically, Phil Woods, who's their chairman on the rec board, was in contact with Springettsbury Township's rec board. And Springettsbury Township is willing to provide East Manchester Township residents with their discount code. So our residents would get the same pricing as their residents when they do events. Now, they specifically call out, they say, comprehensive bus trip program. And this is a very small agreement, and I had Attorney Miller read over it. And basically, we should just add some language that if they're going to retain 100% of the profits generated, then they should, then they are 100% responsible for the administration of dealing with this. I'll write it better, but so if you approve this agreement, giving our residents, that discounted cost for their programs, then we can get this signed, and it'd be another item for East Manchester Townships to enjoy recreation-wise.
I'll make a motion to authorize our manager to sign the agreement.
As revised.
As revised.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome, so I'll get that done tomorrow. That's all I have, but thought that was awesome news.
Yeah, it is. It is awesome news. Excited about that. Takes us to York County Regional Significance Notice, Springersbury Township. Would you want to put that fuzzy map up on the screen? Maybe someone will recognize where it's at.
What are we talking about?
Oh, yeah, York County Regional, Springersbury, they're gonna have
Looks like it's
a,
at the Bonton side of the border. That's what it looks like.
parking spots and stuff.
Not Boscom. Well, Boscom's is right after, that would be Boscom's, so.
Hold on, I'm getting there. I'm almost there.
This is very-
It's just the bird's eye view from
This
York
was the
County.
food court, and this was, so the food court is to the right-hand side of the, and that used to be Bonton,
Let me get bigger.
in that bigger building where the white line is drawn around.
Yeah, it's just, they send us these things because they're gonna have 300 or more parking spots, I think, or something like that, so just an FYI, that's going in there.
Yeah. Signature flats at the Galleria, final land development plan in Springettsbury Township. We get these notices from York County Planning Commission as a regional significance, just to notify everyone around that it's gonna impact the area with 50 or more lots or units.
So they're turning it into condos, is that what they're doing?
Yeah, they don't give you very much information in this except for how is it affecting the area. Right,
That way you can live there and walk to gambling.
yeah.
Go to the casino.
I make a motion, we approve and pay all bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Takes us down to public comments. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I can talk about
Okay.
it. I just want to thank Christy. She's doing a great job keeping the website up, and especially the data center info. And thank you to all the planning commission folks. They have, I don't know how many hours they must have on this data center. So when we have our hearing in April and the supervisors vote at that meeting, that will then be the end.
Or the beginning of the end.
Excuse me?
The
Oh.
beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end.
So to answer your question more fully, this establishes the zoning regulations for if a data center would ever come into fruition in our township, which we do not have a plan for at this time. But it's just an outline for them to follow if they come in.
Well, again, thank you for all your time. As you can see, we've had a lot of concerned people.
We're back to our usual
April
people.
will be different. Most likely. But thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, supervisor comments. Dean.
I just want to, again, thank the planning commission, the zoning hearing board for their input and feedback on the data center and the collective work of staff and great job on keeping the snow. Thank you. Back and keep my fingers crossed that it won't snow again. Thank you. That's all.
Oh, yeah, I gotta sign
Daryl.
those.
Ditto Dean's comments plus, couple of updates on some bills I've talked about in the past. First of all, House Bill 1649 is also a companion of Senate Bill 962. This deals with property tax elimination. Senator Kristen Phil Hill and Representative Mike Jones are going to have on March the 28th from 10 a.m. to noon at the Golden Connections Community Center in Red Line. They're going to be discussing this, and it's open for the public to attend and ask questions. The bill, when I looked at the bill, is 319 pages, so I didn't print it out. But I know some parts of it, and we've been trying to get Senator Kiefer to sponsor one of our building. And I don't know where we are on that yet, but she hasn't. So staff had responded earlier this year. And
I called twice and she keeps saying, I gave him the message, so that's where we're at there.
well, next time I talk to Senator Kiefer, I'll bring that up. Next is the Senate Bill 194. This deals with the legal notices. We discussed this. I had correspondence since 2023, different people on this. It came back up this session in 2025, 2026. All bills at the end of this year, sign and die session, they all died, but there's been no movement on it. They put first consideration June 10th of 2025, and as of yesterday, still no movement on it. Still pursuing, trying to get someone to do something about it. I've written to the chair of the finance committee and asked them to bring out a committee, but I don't know if I'm the right party for that. Lastly, House Bill 1834. This deals with data centers and consumers. It's an act for regulation of large load users by PUC Commission for cost responsibility for contributions to low-income home energy assistance programs for renewable energy requirements and for contract filing, commission review, and enforcement, establishing the data center low-income home energy assistance program enhancement account, and the Pennsylvania Energy Independent Account imposing duties on the PUC Commission, departments, and so forth. This was, presented September 4th of 2025. It was removed from the table on February the 4th. I haven't found out what's going on with that, but that's all I have.
Thank you, Darrell. To expand upon Darrell's Senate Bill 194, I'll give you a scenario so you understand Senate Bill 194. Say York Daily Record or the Dispatch, there's no community paper. They fold and they go out of town. We have no community paper. And we have pressing business that comes upon us that we have to enact. We have to do something within the next week. Well, we can't do that because of House Bill 1291, which stipulates that you must advertise so many hours in advance and it has to be in so long and all that before you can even act on it in a session. So we would have to essentially wait a month. And House Bill 1291 continues that process. Senate Bill 194, however, circumvents that and allows you to go into your own website and do your notifications that way. So that's, we're keeping a keen eye on that.
If I can comment.
Sure.
The problem with that bill is the lobbying committee for the lobbying group for these newspapers are powerful. They're the ones saying, oh, you know, we're gonna, newspapers are gonna lose money. Of course they are, but nobody reads the paper anymore.
No, I mean, we don't go into, very few people go and look at the classifieds and stuff, but, okay, there's a data center symposium on March 24th that I know I signed up to go. I don't know if anyone else, you're going, Kate, I think you're going. So that should be interesting to see what they say about the data centers thing. And it all comes to a head with the BES ordinance, the battery energy storage system. Again, the municipalities, our attorney is kind enough to bring up the cutting edge stuff to us. This is what he's hearing from going around different places. But where are our state and county leaders when it comes to why don't we all get together and talk about this? There's nothing. Each municipality is out on it, and borough is out on an island taking care of this on their own, which totally does not make sense to me. I don't understand why no one would say let's all get together and talk about this. I just don't know. And I did talk about J&K salvage. That affected us way down here, and that is terrible. And I got to give kudos to Mike Fisher for being on that as quick as he was. So I think that's about all I have. Andrew, do we need an executive session?
I do not have anything we need to discuss in executive session.
Is any staff or anything you need? Okay.
I actually just have one very quick question. I started drafting the April 8th agenda. Do I have to have on there curative amendment resolution, or can that go away because you already did that? It's just a matter of wrapping it up, really.
Yeah, there's no action to be taken on that.
Very good, thank you. That's all I had.
You sure?
I think so.
I make a motion we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.